Go ahead and jump to your resource pack directory, and let's open up the fourth step in the bat overrides folder called template.php template suggestions. Go ahead and copy this entire code and paste it over the code that's currently in your template.php file. Now this is again inside of your bat overrides theme, which is a sub-theme of Bartik. Now we've added some code to the bottom of this. We had some code from our previous examples up here. And we've added a new function called preprocess page. So this is a preprocess function for our page. And in it we have 3 examples of adding template suggestions based on various conditions. And so what we'll do is uncomment these out one by one and see them in action. First of all, I'm going to uncomment out the first one by removing these star slashes from the top and bottom of it. Okay, in this example what we're doing is adding a new page template suggestion for anonymous users. Our first step is to check to see if the user is anonymous, and so we're doing so by looking in the user variable inside of the variables array that gets passed to this preprocess function. Now note that a lot of times this won't be available, the user data won't be, and so we may need to globalize the user variable like we did up here in a previous example to use it. But in page, we do have the user data. And next we're checking to make sure that this isn't the user page where a user can log in, because we still want people to be able to log in, but we just don't want them to see the same thing that authenticated users see. In our template file, we're going to display a simple message that says, in order to view this page, please log in. And so we're adding a variable to our template file here. This is simply a good example of using a preprocess function as a holder for your logic. And we're simply creating a link that says login, and we're giving it the path of user. This next line is the one that we're most concerned with. This is where we're adding a theme hook suggestion. Now notice that we're using the variables array here. And because it's passed by reference, we can go ahead and just modify the variable directly. And what we're doing is adding theme hook suggestion. Now again, just one item can exist inside of this variable. This is a string, not an array. So it means that there can only be one theme hook suggestion. Now in a later example, we'll look at adding a suggestion to a list of suggestions. But this is a very powerful suggestion, meaning that if this template file exists, we're going to use this. And the suggestion is to use page __ anonymous, which will translate to page -- anonymous.tpl.php. Again, just the underscores are being converted into dashes. Okay, make sure that this file is saved, and go ahead and jump back to your resource directory. What we need to do is add our anonymous page so that users see something different. Go ahead and copy the 5th step, which is called page anonymous.tpl.php. And what we're going to do is paste it inside of our sites, all themes, bat overrides folder, inside of our template folder. And then go ahead and rename the file page -- anonymous.tpl.php, removing the prefix and the suffix, and go ahead and open it up, and let's take a look at what's inside. It's really simple. I've simply copied the page template file and removed all of the HTML code. You see up at the top is just a number of comments, and then at the bottom we simply have some text that says, to view this page, please log in. And we're using that variable that we created in the preprocessing function and printing it out right here. Okay. Let's go ahead and jump back to the browser and clear our caches in order to register our preprocessing function and template suggestion. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look at what this page looks like when we're an anonymous user in a browser. I've jumped to a different browser where I'm currently not logged in, and I'm going to go ahead and refresh. And now you see that our template is being used. To view this page, please log in. And we can click this in order to go to the login page, which then is themed with our default page template file. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at another example. Jump back to your editor and go to your template.php file. Let's go ahead and remove or recomment out the previous example. I'm just clicking undo several times in order to put those comments back around the example and uncomment out the second example, just removing the star slashes, and save it. In this one, what we're going to do is use a different template file based on node type. And we're going to add suggestions for whatever the node type is of the current page. So what this will do is look at the node variable and look at the content type and add a suggestion for that. Now again, that template file doesn't have to exist, but if it does exist, it will be used over the default node template file. So here's what we're doing. We're looking for a variable inside of the variables array called node. And if this page that we're currently viewing is a node-based page, there is a view for a single node, then this variable will exist. If not, if it's an administrative page, for example, or a contact form, something that's not node-based, then this variable won't exist and we'll just skip this logic. But let's go ahead and add a suggestion for page underscore underscore and then the content type. And we'll grab that by grabbing the node variable in the variables array and pulling out the type from that. Now this particular example is useful because core Drupal doesn't provide a suggestion for a page template based on the node content type. It only does it for paths. As long as the paths match up with content types, for example, when you go to a blog entry it says /blog, and when you go to an article it says /article or something like that, then you could use those default path template file suggestions instead of creating your own. But for this, we're assuming that there might be different content types that have different types of path structures, so you can't always rely on the path necessarily. And so this is useful to override the full structure of a page based on that content type. One other thing to note at this point is that we're modifying the theme hook suggestion variable, and notice that the word page isn't here at all. This is because this theme hook suggestion appears in every pre-processing function where there's a template file involved, and it's based on the name of the pre-processing function. So these are adding suggestions to the page because we're inside of the pre-processed page. But if we were doing some node pre-processing for the node template file, we could add theme hook suggestion here and it would be for the node template files instead. I'm going to go ahead and uncomment out this third example by removing the star slashes from them. Okay, now for these two examples, we've been using theme hook suggestion, which establishes the ultimate veto over other suggestions. We did that up here as well. Now let's take a look at an example where it makes sense to add a suggestion to an array rather than to make the ultimate vote. So these previous examples are good when we know we want to override a particular theme, but sometimes we just want to provide suggestions so that the themers have more options available to them and that we have more flexible options available to us later on. I'm going to go ahead and uncomment out the previous example. And we're going to use all three suggestions or all three examples in tandem with one another. And we're going to do so by converting this theme hook suggestion to this structure, theme hook suggestions. We're just adding the S, and then adding empty brackets at the end so that this becomes part of a list of suggestions. So I'm going to add an S here and add 2 brackets, and I'm going to add an S here and 2 brackets as well. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and save it. Now what this will do is first look for anonymous users and add a suggestion for page anonymous. And then we're going to look for particular node types, and then we're going to add a suggestion for those particular node types. Now what this means is that if we're on a node page, that this page anonymous suggestion is going to be overridden by the suggestion for a template based on the content type. Now if we want to bring them both into play, we're going to use this code down here. So first we're checking for an anonymous user, and we're checking to make sure that they're not on the login page, just like we did above. We're going to check to see if this is a node page by looking at the node variable, again, like our second example. And then we're going to add this third set of suggestions. And this is for page anonymous and then the name of the content type. So this means that if someone is anonymous and they're at a node page, that we can create a content type specifically for that situation. If we don't, then it will cascade back to the suggestion for the content type. And if there's no template files for that, then it will cascade back to the anonymous suggestion. And if that doesn't exist either, then it will go to the core template suggestions.